Hello and welcome to the Newsome MMA podcast in partnership with MMA Play 365, giving you the edge in MMA betting. I'm your host, Kieran Cobley, and tonight I'm joined by a good friend of mine and training partner, Charlie Walden. Charlie, how you doing, man?
Good, mate. How are you? Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. It's always good to have you back on the podcast. First off, man, I think we need to recap what was sort of a mad week for MMA fans in Europe last week. I mean, we had Fight Island back on with another event. We had two Bellator European Series events. I mean, let's go for the UFC event first. Holly Holm made me and John look really silly. We said that she was past her best days. It's, starting to get to the twilight of her career, and then she put on an absolutely flawless display. I mean, did you see the fight? What did you make of Holly's performance?
I've seen the fight. I know when I seen that, I was a bit surprised you and John said that, actually, because I'm a big Holly Holm fan. I think she's very underrated. I think you look at her losses, she's lost to the top people in the protective divisions, to say. She's only lost to good people. She's nowhere near past her best, and I knew it would be an easy fight for her, to be honest with her, and that's what she's shown. She absolutely destroyed her. Aldana did not have no idea what to do. Holly Holm was on her. That explosive power was there, the wrestling, and I just loved how vicious she was in that fight. She went after her, and then there was no stopping it. In the fifth round as well, she could have seen that round out, played it safe. She went for the kill as well in the round 5, and probably could have got a finish. Another referee might have stopped the fight, to be honest, because Aldana took some big shots. And yeah, fair play to Aldana. She got a chin on her. She stuck it out. Actually, she was only taken down prior to that twice in that fight in the whole career. And Holly Holm took her down several times in that fight. It just showed as well. This asserted it. I think most people know that watch MMA. And Holly Holm can grapple as well. She's a very good grappler. She has a good gym in Jackson Wink. And she's shown a great explosive performance against Aldana and a dominant decision, really. And yeah, I think she probably could have got a decision. I was really surprised she didn't get performance of the night bonus as well, because she was superb everywhere the fight went. And I think now we spoke about it earlier, Kieran, that a matchup with Jermaine Randamay, the rematch, could happen. I would love to see that one again. Or you even alluded to it earlier, Nunes as well. That could be a good matchup again. But yeah, plenty of options in that division now. A great performance by Holm.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched there on the fact she almost finished the fight, because that happened twice. In the second round, she managed to get full mount, and she looked to be doing damage until Aldana managed to sort of hip bump her way out of a dangerous position, get back to safety. I mean, are you surprised that with such a dominant performance, the fight wasn't actually stopped? I mean, she was Aldana was killed up on the fence at the end of round 5. I mean, there's an argument there that she got saved by the bell essentially, because like Holm only let her off for like a couple of seconds. Do you think, like, if Homer sort of maybe put the exclamation point on that fight with a finish, that we'd be less inclined to talk about the random rematch than we would be to, we'd be talking about the Nunes rematch, really?
Yeah, but I think it's just really just dominant, really. It was just the dominance of it. It's one of those performances where Colby put up against Woodley, where he's now back in the title picture. That sort of performance where it's just dominant from bell to finish. And yeah, I think Mark Goddard's an experienced referee. Obviously, he sees positions in mount. Obviously, in mount straight, you'll know now as well that in mount, it takes a while to get out, really, because if you've got to get position. So I think you give her time to get out of position. Obviously, she got out of position. The one against the fence, yeah, she probably should have been stopped there in round 5. But the mount position where she was thinking, well, it takes a while to get out of mount. It's a tough position to get out of, especially if someone's putting all the weight on you. You need that opening. So I found that opening and they got out. So yeah, not necessarily. I think even with that win, she could put us in the Nunes title picture, but a Duranda Amy match is more appealing to me, actually. I think it's a better matchup, and I think Nunes is a bad matchup for Holm, and she's a bad matchup for really anybody in this division at the minute. She's the GOAT, as people say as well.
Yeah, so we touched sort of there on the Durandamy fight as well. She managed to get a third round finish. I mean, and on the floor as well with a guillotine submission. I mean, we all knew how good her kickboxing record is, and she's a very, very accomplished kickboxer. I mean, was it sort of surprising for you to see her get a finish by submission?
No, she's always evolving a game. She said that in countless interviews now, that she's always evolving a game and she's always improving different areas. Obviously, she's got that great kickboxing background, and she's one of those fighters that just keeps developing. She reminds me of Alistair Overeem in that sense. So she just constantly just crafting her skills and doesn't stay the same, doesn't stay stale. She doesn't. Jermaine Manderby from last year is a completely different fighter to one this year. She's improved that much, and that's the same as like Alistair Overeem as well. She's worked on her skills, she's worked on her weaknesses, and I think in a 5 or 6 fights time, she could put a better chance to Nunes, because the Nunes first fight, she troubled Nunes on the feet. She really did. Nunes did not want to stand with her at all. Took her straight down and didn't want nothing of that. When she did stand with her, she put Nunes in trouble. We've seen that. She's a fighter that really improves her skills over time, and I really like Jermaine Nunes. She's got a good attitude as well, and she's a nice person as well from what I've come across in interviews. So great matchup that one for Holly Holm. I wasn't surprised that she got a finish on the mat. She's really been improving in that, and I think I'm right in saying she's purple belt in jiu-jitsu. I might be wrong there, but I'm sure I've seen her in a gi with a purple belt on. So yeah, she's something along them lines anyway. But yeah, constantly evolving a game and a superb fighter and an even greater person.
Yeah. Do you think Holm would take the rematch against de Randamie though? I mean, given the first fight it's probably one of the dirtier fights I've seen in MMA, where there was 2 clear strikes that happened after the bell thrown by de Randamie. They looked to be, I don't want to say bad blood, but there's something off about de Randamie, and that she didn't look. We've seen now she's quite a relaxed person in interviews and stuff, but she's throwing strikes off the belt. I mean, I think the argument there, one of the arguments coming out of the fight was Holm was actually hurt more by the strikes thrown after the bell than she was during the sort of limited rounds. I mean, Holm might say, you know what, we fought before. You fought dirty. I don't want that fight. I want the title now.
Yeah, it's good easy to say that. I think that wasn't the real Jermaine de Randamie in my opinion. I think it's sometimes you get a bit of competitive edge and you get frustrated when things are going your way, and that's what I think happened in that fight. And yeah, it happens. Of course, it happens in fights. You've seen Tony Ferguson against Donald Cerrone. Clear, it's miles after the belly hits him, and obviously never meant to hit him, but it just happens sometimes. Your competitive edge gets the better of you, and that's what happens. So I think Holly knows that I said, and I think Bill spoke after the fight. Of course, I think Jeremy would apologise, and I think it's water under the bridge now, to be honest with you. So I think it could be a little hesitation there. I don't know, but I would imagine not. I think knowing Jermaine, seeing what I've seen, I think she will have apologised for that. After looking back at what she did in that fight, because it wasn't good. It was unprofessional. It wasn't what you want to see in MMA, sportsmanship wise. But like I said, it happens sometimes, and sometimes your competitive ego gets the better of you, and not every fighter, but sometimes it happens. So, like I say, so I don't think there's been any hesitation. I think it's probably water under the bridge at this point now, anyway.
Yeah. So moving on to Bellator, big week for the promotion there. They came back with the European series. We had 2 events in Milan. We had an event on Thursday night. It was supposed to be Paul Daly versus Eric Anderson. Unfortunately, Paul got pulled out of the fight. There's conflicting reports on what happened there. Paul saying that he had an issue with he was having cramps in his weight cut, and because of the COVID restrictions, he couldn't go to his room and sort of deal with it there with his team. That he had to stay in the media and deal with it in front of Bellator staff and other Bellator fighters. It was maybe a bit distressing, and then he actually asked to go to the hospital himself. Others reports saying that Bellator sent him to the hospital themselves and made the call. But he's also decided to call it a day. He's announced that he's going to be retiring after his next fight, which will be fought at catch weight, 175 pounds. I mean, what do you make of Paul Daly's career, and how, were you sort of upset by the fact that maybe we didn't get to see that Paul Daly versus Derek Anderson fight?
Yeah, he's a legend of the sport, Paul Daly. I think his record and the people he's fought and the fights he's had speak for himself. I think part of the fight that sticks out for me is Nick Diaz versus Paul Daly. What a fight that is. A legend of the sport, really. And when you're having problems with your weight and stuff like that, and you're really struggling to make it, and you're obviously losing, you've seen his losing sort of is now competitiveness when he's fighting these top level guys, and it's going to happen. I think that's when you start considering looking away from the sport. I think he's probably been well looked after at Bellator as well, money wise, and really is a legend of the sport. I think the Anderson fight, would have been good to see, but I think he's made the right decision there.
Yeah, so the Thursday night event, it probably wasn't the biggest event. The Daly fight was probably the biggest fight on the card. I think the only standout performance I can really sort of remember is the Lee Chadwick, who's a friend of the channel, a guy we interviewed a couple of times here. He got a fantastic win, arm triangle submission in the second round. So we're going to sort of move to the Saturday card.
I wanted to actually give a shout out to Joffrey Hilton, who was on the card on Thursday night. As a friend on Facebook, I've talked to him a few times. A great guy. He was 1-0 prior to this, and he got his Bellator opportunity. And he was finishing the first round, but nothing to hold your head down about. He fought a great opponent, and he's a heavyweight. I don't know if you've seen him, Kieran, but it was his second fight. To get Bellator in the second fight, I think you can say as well, Kieran. A great achievement.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they'll see more of him as well. It was a bit of a myth card Thursday night. I'll agree with you on that one. But I just wanted to give Hoffy a shout out, and also Bobby Pallett, one of the Hammer guys. They flew out there, and unfortunately Justin Bernson tested positive. That would have been a great matchup. That would have been my fight of the week actually for that one, because 2 stand-up guys, and actually that Justin Bernson beat George Smith, another friend of the channel as well. So, yeah, it would have been a great matchup. But unfortunately, Bernson tested positive, so Pallet flew out there and he didn't get a fight. So, hopefully, he gets the match on the next one. And yeah, that's what to give shout out to them guys.
Yeah, no worries, man. So yeah, moving to Saturday card, we finally got the James Gallagher versus Callahan. In fact, this is the fourth time it got booked. The 3 previous times it got cancelled due to injury issues and sort of issues that Bellator couldn't control. It should have happened in Dublin, should have happened in London. It just didn't happen. I mean, how unfortunate is it that we finally did get this fight? And there's a lot of bad blood between the fighters. It was a fight that, you know, domestically there was a lot of interest in. It happened in Italy in a closed arena.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I think you can see actually pre-build. The bad blood went away. The really bad blood went away. It really did, and they've seen the post-fight comments they sent to each other. They look friendly. They've seen the pre-fight as well. It wasn't really too bothered. I think that bad blood went away. To be honest with you, I think there was something was settled behind the scenes, but the bad blood definitely wasn't there. I didn't sense it, and yeah, it would have been nice having in the UK. Would have been a great matchup, a great opportunity for Kieran, although getting to fly over to Milan, and it was a good fight. First round finish for Gallagher. I just think Eleanor just didn't expect James to go to the ground with so soon. I think obviously he stood with him for a little bit and just baited Callum a little bit, and then he took him down. But again, nothing to hang your head about. James Gallagher is, in my opinion, the second best in the division. I think Sergio Pettis holds that claim. I think he's a really tremendous talent in that division, and he's the best. But I think he can definitely beat Bandejas. It would have been nice having the UK, like you say, but happened in Milan. What can you do? COVID-19 restricts that, and it's not been able to have it in England properly. So, yeah, good fight, good build-up. I think these two guys will go on to have good careers. Callan will have a good career. He just made a mistake. Like I say, when you fight the top guys of that division, you make mistakes and pressure gets to you sometimes, and that's what happened, I feel. And but yeah, big fan of both guys. And Gallagher, even more impressive victory. A lot of people don't like him, so obviously he plays this bit of a Conor McGregor act. But if you look past that, his skills are tremendous. He lost to Bandejas, who's a very good fighter. He's fought some very good names, and I think he could probably get that one back as well. And I think we was talking earlier, Kieran, that's one they'll probably make because it sells as well, and it's a good matchup stylistically again.
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned it there. The Ricky Bandejas fight, that seems to write itself. I mean, Bandejas has got sort of this reputation of being the SPG killer. You look at the guys he's beaten. So Gallagher, it's been a couple of other, just Franz Mambo, he beat as well. I mean, he's 3 or 4 now SPG guys he's beat. I mean, that one sort of sells his fight. There's obviously a bit of a rivalry there with Bandejas sort of making Gallagher look a bit silly after Gallagher sort of pulled the antics of storming up to him with the face-offs and things like that. But there's another fight I want to mention here, and I'm only going to mention this because Brett Johns recently signed for the promotion. I think he was signed for the back end of last week. He's a guy that he's 17-2. It's a bit surprising that the UFC let him go. He fought out his contract. His last fight on Fight Island. Would you be interested in that fight? I mean, you got Gallagher's 11-1 against a guy from the UFC coming over 17-2, and domestically it makes sense as well. Irish versus Wales.
Not at this point. I think they'll hold that one if they can for the crowd. If they can hold it, if they can't afford to, then they'll make it. But I think John's also going to the top of the division. I think Gallagher's a few fights away yet on the top of the division. I think even Bandejas now isn't at the top of the division. There's obviously a few names above him. So yeah, I think John will could slot into a fight with Pettis. To be honest with you, he could slot straight into a fight with Pettis. I would like to see him actually against one Archie. That'd be a great matchup. So there could be some good matchups there for Johns. I don't think you'll see him versus Gallagher for a year or so. It will definitely happen, I think, that fight. I'm confident Gallagher gets past most of these bantamweights in this division. He's a very skilled athlete, and so is Johns. He's all around pretty good. But I think Gallagher can definitely beat him on the ground and definitely control him on the ground, for sure.
Yeah. Now, sort of looking ahead, another UFC Fight Island event coming up, and also the big Bellator event coming up in Paris. It's the first pro MMA event to ever be held in France. First off, we've got Fight Island. We've got a fantastic headliner fight here. Marlon Moraes versus Corey Sandhagen. I mean, Moraes 23-6 taking on Sandhagen 12-2. I mean, where's your head on this one? Is it Sandhagen walking away with a victory, or is it Moraes? I mean, there's an argument to be made here that the winner of this takes on the winner of Jan versus Sterling once that fight happens.
Great. It's a great matchup. This is what you call great matchmaking, and like I like that Sandhagen straight back on the horse after his defeat at UFC 250 to Sterling. I like straight back on there. I think that's the best way to go really when you suffer defeat, not take a year out and then fight again. I feel like it's just get straight back on. Now it's even actually suffer a devastating victory. I think it's a good idea to get straight back on the horse and keep fighting, and that's what he's doing. And it's a great matchup stylistically. Both very good on the feet. Marlon obviously with that lead switch kick that he really likes to use against a lot of his opponents, and you'll see him catch. I think you've seen him catch really everybody with it, apart from Cejudo. He caught Jose Aldo with it, and Jose Aldo didn't go down. But he's got a chin of steel anyway. I know he's been knocked out a couple of times, but he has got a good chin on him. But yeah, it's a great matchup. I like both these guys a lot. I think Moraes overall is a better fighter everywhere the fight goes, sort of thing. But if Sandhagen can make it scrappy, get it against the cage, in and out of the clinch, he can definitely win this fight. And I think he trains at a good camp as well. He trains with at Gaethje's camp. I can't remember the name of the gym is called. You might know, but he trains at a good camp as well. He'll have good coaches in his corner, and yeah, it's going to be a good matchup. I do have Marlon Moraes in this one for a decision.
Yeah, just looking into it a little bit more though. I mean, Moraes, there could be a mental aspect to this fight. I mean, he beat Aldo and then didn't get the title shot where Aldo got straight in against Jan. And
do you think that's beat Aldo though, did he? Let's be honest.
Right, I'm just going to go on this. Sherdog has his record as winning the thing. I placed a bet on him to win, and he won the bet. Like, that's the end of it. He won that fight. Like, that's the end of it. He won the fight. You know, he won with the bookies. He won with the official record keepers. He won that fight on, like, people can argue all they want about it. He did win that fight, whether they like it or not. I mean, it's one of these dodgy scorecards. Yes, I'll admit that, but he did win the fight, and he didn't get the title shot. I mean, is that going to play in his mind a little bit? The fact that he knows, like, he got sort of screwed out of one title shot, and he now knows he's got to fight to get another one. Really, I mean, against Sandhagen, who's 12-2, probably one of the best prospects in the division. I mean, is that sort of weigh heavy on him going into the fight?
Like I say, I don't agree with the decision, so I don't think he's been massively screwed out of it. I think he was unlucky not to get one with it. Obviously, I think everyone at the UFC agreed that he didn't win that fight. Obviously, I was sure the dog says different and everything else, but I think a lot of people thought Aldo won that fight, and Moraes didn't do enough to win that. And a lot of people were surprised. I think that's why Jose Aldo got the nod. And also, when you beat a welcomer to the division, I'm not necessarily sure it gets you the title shot. We've seen that with Dan Ige. Dan Ige didn't get an instant title shot after beating Edson Barboza. Granted, Marlon Moraes was higher than Dan Ige in the rankings, but it doesn't always get you a title shot welcoming a new person's opponent, whatever rank you are. It's sort of those number one contender fights where you're fighting the number 2, 3 guys. Aldo is not a number 2, 3 guy at bantamweight. He's a number 2, 3 guy at featherweight. So it's a different division completely, to be honest with you. So I don't think you can really say he was screwed out of it, but it was unlucky not to get it for sure, because Jose Aldo's a big name, of course. But as far as division and rankings go in that division itself, it wasn't really screwed out of it, I don't think. I think obviously you probably needed a couple of wins anyway, because obviously the fashion he lost to Cejudo. I don't think a one win gets you straight back in there, to be honest with a title shot. So yeah, another fight here with Sandhagen. I think definitely if he wins this one, he'll get a title shot.
Yeah, so looking down the card a bit, the UFC event coming up as well, it could be one that British fans are going to want to tune into. We've got 2 British fights on the card. Starting with Tom Aspinall, he steps in at short notice to take on Alan Bordeaux. I'm pretty sure I butchered that pronunciation there, but there we go. 8-2. He's so 1, 2, 3, 4. He's on a bit of a finishing streak here. 4 first round finishes in his last 4 fights. I mean, how highly do you rate Aspinall?
Very, very highly. I said to one of my mates, he left me out the room, that Aspinall will be heavyweight champion, UFC. No doubt in my mind he'll be heavyweight champion. There's 100% in my mind he will be heavyweight champion. Former pro boxer, for one. Good pro. Former pro Muay Thai as well. BJJ black belt. This guy has got it all. This guy has got it all.
Definition of mixed martial artist, you've got to say.
Definition of mixed martial artist. And he's got a very good training camp behind him as well. Team Carbon. What a training. You can't really ask for a better training camp in this country at the minute. I really am a big fan of Tom Aspinall. And when Tom Aspinall knocked this last guy out, I can't remember his name now.
Collier,
that's his name. When he knocked him out, my mate wasn't laughing then, because superb. I know Collier's not a massive name, nothing like that, but it's the way he did it. Absolutely, completely dismantled him. And I see a similar thing happening here, to be honest with you. It's absolutely superb. No one can hang with him on the feet. That's a fact. No one can hang with him on the feet with his resume. and his pedigree on the feet. No one can hang him on the feet. A lot of people take it to the ground. We take it to the ground. Guess what? The kid's got a BJJ black belt as well. So how are you going to beat him?
Yeah.
Superb fighter.
I mean, the one thing you missed there is he's actually a former training partner of Tyson Fury as well.
Yep.
Boxing world champion, legend of boxing. I mean, is this a fight where he walks away with a win again? I mean, Bordeaux's 8-1. He looks to have quite an impressive record there. Still in 9 fights into a pro career. But I mean, you know, is this a fight where it's pretty much cut and dry that Aspinall walks out as a winner?
Oh, of course not. Of course not. But I definitely would, if I could bet, I would be betting on Aspinall because he's just so. I just don't see where the guy can beat him. To be honest with you, he's so good. Listen, if it says on the feet for a round, Aspinall knocks him clean out. Simple as that. You can't hang with a former pro boxer. You seen what happened to Proctor when he tried to hang with Mason Jones on the feet, a former pro boxer as well. He doesn't end well for you. And that's what the same thing will happen here if he tries to hang with Aspinall on the feet. Aspinall will put him away. This is another guy who's had a pro Muay Thai fight as well, which is no joke. Listen, Aspinall is a serious talent, and people will definitely realise it after this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the other British fighter on the card as well, Tom Breeze, should have fought last week, got rescheduled. It's taken on Katie Bula. Again, I butchered that pronunciation, so I'm sorry. Aspinall, though, is coming off a difficult phase. He had Tom Breeze, sorry. He was coming off a couple of issues with mental health, where he got pulled from his UFC London fight last year. He lost against Brendan Allen in sort of devastating fashion, and Brendan Allen just sort of made him look a bit silly. I mean, is this a chance for Aspinall to put is this a really good chance for Aspinall to sort of bounce back and get a win back under him, or is it a case of he leaves Fight Island 11-3?
Listen, I know John's not going to be very happy to hear this, but I think Breeze is done, to be honest with you. I think Breeze is done. I like Breeze a lot. I think he's a good fighter, but he's done now. I just don't think he wants to be in that cage anymore, mentally, physically. I think his heart's probably in coaching, to be honest with you. And it should be. He's coached those guys at Renegade. He's got some very good guys at Renegade, as you'll know, Kieran. And listen, make your money doing that. It's not the way of the head tram, because he's fighting guys now who are hungrier, who want it more. Yeah, and he just doesn't want it anymore. Simple as that. And I know he may say he wants it, and he wants it now, but he's just convincing himself he does. But I don't. If you look at him in the last fight, how he crumbled, it's not good. He's done for me.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there his coach. I mean, he obviously teaches the coaches team Renegade, so that's the Edwards brothers. So Fabian, Leon Edwards, Mozu Bear, Nathan
Jay Harbert.
Yeah, Jai Herbert, Matthias Frederick. I mean, there's a list as long as my arms of fighters that are coming out of there at the minute. I mean, does that not give him the best sort of training environment though, to sort of like get a bit of a win back under him?
Yeah, you could say that, but you could just look at Artem Lobov or somebody say he's training with Conor McGregor. But he's got that sort of a training partner as well. But he wasn't. It was good scrapper, obviously, but nothing technically special. Yeah, you could say that. It's one way to look at it, but from what I've seen of Tom Breeze, sorry, I'm saying Aspinall now, from Tom Breeze, I just don't think his head's there anymore. And sometimes it happens, it just happens. I think it's a similar situation with Tyron Woodley, where I just don't think his head's there, physically and mentally. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not just so when you know to hang it up. And I just think if he loses this weekend, I think he'll probably get cooked. Because I think Dana White will probably see that as well, to be honest with you. Because Dana White's quite good at spotting that as well. You see him, he's having a way with Donald Cerrone, who's been struggling his last 4 or 5 fights. And he obviously he said at the time, well, he should probably retire. So he can see that in fighters. And I think he'll probably have a way with Tom Breeze if he loses in devastating fashion again on Saturday. But there's nothing I would love more to see than Tom Breeze put an absolute clinic on and finish this guy. But I just don't see it, Kieran.
Yeah, no worries, man. And again, we've sort of got to give Bellator a little mention. I mean, we mentioned briefly the Paris main event. And in the main event, we've got a big British fight. Michael Venom Page taking on Ross Houston. Ross Houston making his debut for Bellator after leaving Cage Warriors as the Cage Warriors welterweight champion. I mean, how excited are you for this fight? I mean, I know Michael Venom Page has got a reputation for being a can crusher, but you definitely can't call Ross Houston a can.
Oh, listen, when this battle was announced, Larry Hawani put it on Twitter. The amount of comments I seen, MVP backfighting bums, backfighting gentlemen. What are you talking about? Have you even watched Ross Houston? He's an absolute beast. Listen, this is a great matchup, so I'm surprised they give MVP Ross Houston. because listen, Ross Houston's going to destroy him. You'll disagree. Adam Newsome disagrees, but me and John are on this side. Ross is going to have him. I'm telling you, Ross is going to have him. I'm a big fan of Ross Houston. Listen, MVP is a good talent when he's fighting mediocre fighters. God knows if I interview now, but mediocre fighters, that's when he's good. Like, you see when he fought at the top level, Lima, obliterated. Listen, so I like MVP. He's got a good style, but he's very overrated for one. I think that. He's obviously they're Bellator's English golden boy sort of thing. They're the name in it, but yeah, this is a great matchup. Ross Houston just possesses the grappling pedigree to take him down and hold him down and really beat him up for 5 rounds. Really, I'm very surprised Bellator give Michael Venom Page this fight, and Michael. Fair play to Michael Venom Page. I obviously thinks he can beat him because he took the fight. He obviously thinks he can beat him. He's not scared of a fight. You've seen him fight the guys. He's never scared of a fight, but I just don't think he's that level. To be honest with you, I just don't think he is that level at all. I think Ross Houston's an absolute beast. We've seen that in Cage Warriors in his fights before. He's an absolute beast. And that Derby fight's one of the greatest fights I've ever seen. It's one of the craziest fights I've ever seen for sure. But yeah, what a fight. For me, it's going to be a 5-round Morden sort of thing for Ross. Ross is going to keep him down. He's going to mix it up on the feet, take him down. I don't think he's going to be silly enough to stand with MVP. Because listen, if he stands with MVP will finish him. Because MVP is a very, very talented striker. I can't take that away from him. But all-round game, nah. Ross Houston takes him down and out grapples him, and probably can finish him on the mat as well if he wanted to, and probably will late on. I think the early rounds. I think if you see a massive scramble from MVP, getting back to his feet and pushing for the striking. But yeah, great. Listen, this fight is I'm looking forward to at the most of the whole card. Okay, all the cards, Bellator, UFC. I'm looking forward to this fight since they announced it because it's an absolute belter fight. Yeah, it's a great. And to be fair, Bellator have been making some good fights recently, matchmaking wise. Usually, before I was a bit disheartened about some of the matches he makes. I feel like it wasn't real fights, sort of thing. Like it was bad matchmaking. But I've really been happy with the matchmaking they've done so far since they've come back from the lockdown period. And really, you can't get any better matchup than this at the minute. What a fight!
Yeah, I firstly got to say I do not believe that Michael Venom Page is overrated. I just think he is a victim of he's a victim basically of poor matchmaking. You can only beat the guys put in front of you. It's sort of like the other guy. It's very hard because his level in striking and how highly rated he is in striking. It's very, very hard to find him a good match. I think Ross Houston is the best match they probably found him. I think Paul Daly was a fantastic match, and then that fight I don't want to say a rematch of that. I really don't. I mean, that was very, very disappointing. The fact that it happened in America as well, which is even we weren't allowed to. I remember being at Bellator Paris, we weren't allowed. They basically gave us an explanation as to why Bellator having the main event over the best British fight in years in America, and then it was like we're not answering questions on it anymore. But for me, he definitely seems like a fighter that he's only been able to fight the guys put in front of him, and if they're only putting guys in front of him that are less skilled, I don't want to say jobbers or journeymen, but
let's be honest, they are though, aren't they? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sort of disagree. I mean, I'm trying to be polite about it, but yeah, you can only do the guys put in front of you. It's the same with Raymond Daniels. Raymond Daniels is an elite level striker. I mean, you're going to really struggle to match-make him as well and make an interesting fight there. But again, this fight for me, this fight is going to be a huge fight. I mean, domestically, this is probably decides the best welterweight in Britain right now, apart from, outside of Leon Edwards, because unfortunately Leon Edwards just can't get a fight for love nor money at the minute unless he's not interested in the Wonder Boy fight. Doesn't seem to be interested in Khamzat Chimaev, which I can't blame him really for, because Chimaev will humiliate him, let's be honest. I mean, somewhere John Prentice is having a bit of a meltdown here with sort of Tom Breeze and Leon Edwards here. Yeah, this fight definitely decides the best British welterweight that's around now. I mean, so is it for you a cut and dry Ross Houston late finish or decision?
Listen, no, I probably was the one. What you said was probably right. Wrong word, and I do apologise. MVP probably matchmaking from Bellator on his part for him. Really, he's not been giving good matchups really, and when he has, obviously he lost to Lima. But yeah, I agree with you on that one. Probably poor matchmaking. I take back the overrated thing. Probably not true. On that one, but yeah, matchmaking. Yeah, I agree, Paddy. Whoever wins this fight, best fighter and welterweight fighter in Britain at the minute. I think you could probably put Sharp for Mason Jones in there though after his dominant performance over.
I mean,
Adam Proctor.
it looks like he's going back down to lightweight, so I won't put him in there.
He could be staking a claim. Yeah, he's going down to lightweight, but yeah, actually, yeah, he's probably a lightweight and he's not welterweight. But yeah, like I say, good fight. Whoever wins this is probably the best Britain fighter welterweight wise at the minute. Like I say, Ross Houston. I don't think it's been massive cut and dry. I think MVP's definitely got the skills to beat him, but I just think Ross Houston, if he sticks to a game plan where he doesn't just obviously make it so obvious that he's going to take him down, because MVP can wrestle, of course. He's going to see takedowns coming. He's got to mix it up a little bit, get him against the cage, rough him up, then take him down. Make it ugly. It's got to be an ugly fight. He can't try and entertain the fans with this one, because it'll not end good for him. He'll end up on the mat, out cold, asleep, because MVP will put him to sleep.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, he may be overrated on the ground and everything like that, but on the feet, you can't say he's overrated. He's absolutely phenomenal on the feet. He's a stud on the feet. He can probably knock anybody out on the feet in the welterweight division.
Yeah. I think the one issue Houston could have in this fight is that we know Venom Page is a bit of a sharpshooter. We've seen that in his last 3 or 4 fights. When a guy's sort of approached him, he just sort of like fires a shot out of nowhere. He's very well good at disguising his punches, disguising his shots. I mean, he can disguise jumping knees and disguise right crosses. I mean, is that going to be an issue for Houston if he's trying to get in close to get the fight to the mat or take it up to the cage?
Yeah, listen, Houston, I like Houston, but it's not nowhere near the level of strike that MVP is. And I think if it stays on the feet long enough, I think MVP can definitely catch him and put him to sleep easily. Like I say, he's very dynamic MVP. He's very sneaky with his attacks. But these attacks that these flying knees have come against, not to be disrespectful, I don't want to say bums, but journeymen. That's probably the correct word. I think the fighters he's fought, if you ask them the setting, because a lot of fighters will tell you that they're just journeymen. They fight the up-and-coming new prospects and stuff like that. They'll tell you they're journeymen. I think he's fought journeymen, and that's where you've seen those spectacular finishes and stuff like that. But against Ross Houston, I think Ross is smart. Ross has trained at SBG Manchester for years with those dynamic strikers and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's also trained at Team Renegade as well, which we mentioned briefly as well. Again, another on that list.
Another superb gym with a load of good strikers as well. We'll give John Prentice that one. He'll be happy about that mention. But yeah, another good superb striker. So he's obviously seen good striking as well. He's not accustomed to bad striking. He knows what good striking looks like, and he's fought some good strikers in his career as well. And listen, and that's not me saying he can hang with MVP, because there's no way he can. MVP will knock him out if he tries to stay with MVP on the feet. Because I think Ross Jones is a bit slow on the feet when it comes to striking. I think that's probably one of his weaknesses. He's a bit slow on the feet, boxing wise. His boxing's not as crisp, really. I think his takedowns, his jiu-jitsu game's phenomenal, and in and out the clinch as well. It reminds me of that renegade style, coming out the clinch, elbows and stuff like that. You see it with Leon Edwards doing it, coming out the clinch, elbows. I think I've said it a few times on a podcast that I like that game plan when clinch it up and come out with elbows and shots. I really do like that style. I think he's picked a lot of that style from Renegade. So, yeah, listen, if he tries to stand with MVP, I've said it before already, he'll get knocked out. But he needs to mix it up cleverly and then get him down to the mat and ground and pound him.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today on tonight's episode. Charlie, before we leave it, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
It's not really. Just all the fighters that fought on Bellator. Well done for stepping on a big stage in such an uncertain time, really. And yeah, more fights to come. Good luck to Ross Houston representing Britain on Saturday, and MVP of course. But yeah, Ross Houston as well. Good luck to him, and yeah, good luck to all the fighters and family and friends. And cheers for having me on, Kieran.
Yeah, no worries, man. Of course, you can check me out on @Cobley Reporting. Make sure if you've liked the episode to give it a like, share, and a subscribe. We want to get as many people involved in this conversation as well. If you've got any comments about what we think of the fights as well, of course, leave a comment in the comment section. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for tonight, but we will join you next time at the same place, same channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.